Today, let's talk about what company resolutions and minutes are and why you need them. When you incorporate or create an LLC, it's kind of like a contract between you and the state. You get liability protection by creating the LLC or corporation, and in return, you promise to treat the business as separate from yourself, thus creating the separation from personal liability. It may help if you think of it this way. When you incorporate, you're creating a separate entity, a separate person. And this person has its own name, its own tax ID, its own birthday, its own bank accounts and credit cards. And many people mistakenly believe that when you file the corporation with the state, that's it. It was filed and you now magically have liability protection, and that simply isn't true. To enjoy that liability protection, there are a few things you need to do. I mentioned having separate banking accounts, separate credit cards, and not commingling funds, to name just a few. And we'll go over those in more detail in another video. Another step in keeping the business entity separate from you personally is doing your minutes and resolutions. This entity is its own person in the eyes of the law, but you, as owner, director, and officer, need to make decisions for this person, since after all, it's a business and doesn't have its own brain. When you make decisions on behalf of this entity, you need to document those. That's where resolutions and minutes come in. Minutes are notes taken during a meeting, whether it be in person, on the phone, or via Zoom. And resolutions document decisions or actions the company has taken after the fact. Whenever the business opens a bank account, hires a lawyer, hires an accountant, hires a C-level employee, establishes a retirement plan, buys insurance, buys real estate, issues stock, allows investors, gets a loan, issues dividends or distributions, elects its officers and directors, and many other decisions, well, then it needs to be documented in a resolution. I always recommend that when in doubt, do a resolution. You won't get dinged for having too many or doing one when it's not necessary. If you have multiple owners of the business, then there are formalities to call a meeting to make decisions, or the owners can waive notice of meetings if it's a unanimous decision to take an action in the business. We typically do this form of resolutions and minutes for smaller companies. I often get a lot of pushback from businesses that have only one owner, and that owner is the sole director and officer. Why do I need to do this? It's just me. But it's not just you. It's the business. The minutes and resolutions are the voice of the business. It's the business saying, we will take these actions. The business is making those decisions. So whether you're the only person in the business or there are many, you are all acting on behalf of the business. So it needs to be done. I'm also asked quite often, well, who do I file these minutes with? And the short answer is no one. They go in your corporate book. I always get a quizzical look or a raised eyebrow, or the question, then why do I do them if they're not filed anywhere? And the short answer to that is because if you don't do them, then the corporate veil can be pierced. Piercing the corporate veil is a metaphor for getting beyond this veil of liability protection afforded to you by having a corporation or an LLC separate from you as a person. And if it's not done, that's the surprise you really don't want to find the answer to that question at the wrong time, like when you're being sued, and certainly not when you're being audited, because not doing the business minutes and resolutions means not having the liability protection you thought you had when you filed your incorporation paperwork with the state. Not having business liability protection means personal liability, which means your personal assets are at risk from any business liability, including financial debts and lawsuits and tax implications, which is the entire reason for incorporating in the first place. Remember that when you file a corporation with the state, that is simply registration. That is not how you get liability protection. So if your heart has just skipped a beat or it's thoroughly positioned in your throat and you're thinking, oh no, I haven't done any of this, it's not too late. Call me and we can work to get you caught up. You really do want to keep this up to date as your business grows, but doing it late is better than not at all. I think the longest I went back and did this for a client was 25 years. And man, that was a job. Trying to document business decisions from 25 years ago is certainly a lot of work. It's so much easier and better to keep it up to date as part of running your business. When I incorporate a brand new business for a client, I create all the startup minutes and resolutions along with the other documents needed to show separation of the business and the owner. I also contact my clients around their business anniversary dates to offer their annual minutes and to catch up on their board resolutions to keep them in compliance. Annual minutes and resolutions are done each year to re-elect the board members and the officers and to approve the decisions they've made over the last year. If you have questions on any of this, please feel free to reach out at any time. I understand some of these business concepts can be difficult to grasp, If you want a little more help understanding, or if you'd like me to help you with your minutes and resolutions, please call me for a free consultation. Please check my other videos for free corporate book and protection for personal liability to make sure you are protected. Thank you.